Let's be honest with ourselves here, you saw how this thing gave 20% more damage to the heavy and thought it would be a straight upgrade from stock, only to end up getting dominated by everyone on the server and are now wondering what you're doing wrong. Well then, I have the guide for you. How yin's doing? I'm Ian, and this is my TF2 How to Killstreak series, where we look at the best and worst TF2 has to offer and show you how to get a killstreak with it, because everything is a bad idea until it works. Today, as you could tell from reading the title of this video, we are covering the Brass Beast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Like always, we will start with the stats. The Brass Beast gives you a 20% damage boost, while also giving you a 20% damage resistance when below 50% HP while fully revved up. This secondary trait, whilst it might save your life with a sliver of your HP once in a while, will usually not be a major factor, since if you're below half health on the slowest character in the game, you should not be pushing ahead fully revved, but rather falling back to heal. Speaking of the heavy slow movement speed, the downsides of this weapon are that you move 60% slower when fully revved up, and revving your gun up in the first place is 50% slower. This means when you're fully revved up, the only thing that moves slower than you that can shoot back are sentries. However, I wish you luck in actually revving up in time to shoot anyone with this gun, since it now takes so much longer that a lot of players who get the jump on you will be able to kill you before you have the chance to shoot back at them whatsoever. And that is the key problem with this gun. You see, TF2 is a game where mobility is king, and this gun sacrifices what little the heavy already has in favor of more raw damage. But as one of the Scout's Dominations lines say,
"Them $200 bullets ain't so hot when they don't hit nothing, are they?"
One tactic I'm sure some of you are thinking to yourselves is to simply stay near the cart. Two issues with that. First, the cart moves faster than you, meaning you'll have to constantly unrev your gun to catch up with the thing every now and then, or sit on top of it and sacrifice what little defensive cover it provides and make yourself just a sitting duck for enemy snipers. Secondly, that tactic works with literally any minigun in the heavy's arsenal, so that's hardly a selling point of this one in particular. So how do we use this thing to our advantage in order to get its full potential out? That's actually quite easy to explain. You see, all you have to do is make sure that your enemies are coming to you, and not the other way around. This is probably the worst minigun of the heavy's arsenal to use while on offense, since the cons actually outweigh the pros so heavily when you have to constantly move forward on your team's advance that having 20% damage doesn't mean anything when you're only doing damage 10% of the time. However, if you insist on doing so anyway, I recommend using the shotguns in lieu of the lunchbox items, since they provide a faster alternative which will allow you to address foes that your slower rev time won't allow you to otherwise deal with, such as scouts. A popular tactic to use with this weapon is to actually wait around corners and jump opposition before they can react, since if they don't know you're there, you don't need to worry about the rev time getting in the way. Hell, considering that a lot of people in casual mode play with music on in the background, there's like a solid 20% chance that players won't even hear you even if you are fully revved up with this gun. However, this weapon works best when your team has built a solid defensive line to fall back to, such as an engineer nest or a medic that is hiding behind a wall healing everyone equally. Because of this, you will often see this weapon being used in man vs. machine, since the downsides are negligible against the bots, whilst also being the only way the heavy has to increase his primary's base damage, since for some reason MVM doesn't have any damage upgrades for the heavy's minigun. However, when you're playing in casual or other public servers, it's another story entirely, since medics are something of an endangered species in casual, and engineers are not always going to be disciples of Dane. In fact, don't be surprised when the engineer on your team defies his teachings in favor of using his dispenser as a stool to sit upon rather than something to help his team out by healing them. Personally, I am convinced these engineers are convinced their sentry will explode if they're not constantly hitting a wrench against it, which given the poor placement of their sentries I've seen is not entirely inaccurate, but it does leave out a lot of important details that they need to learn. So when you're stuck with a team that refuses to play to your needs, what do? Do we switch classes? Do we switch to a faster primary so we don't need our teammates to cover our weak spots? No. We wasted a full reclaimed metal and a Natasha to craft this thing in the bowels of Gibbous HQ, where none of us have even heard of Scrap.tf, or trading. Or hygiene for that matter. I'm pretty sure half of our membership has never touched grass in their life, and I'm pretty sure the other half has been unironically calling cans of Axe body spray showers. But hey, a lot of us use the second banana, so we don't have to worry about scurvy at least. Speaking of the second banana, it's actually a pretty good weapon for the heavy to use with the brass beast. Especially if the engineer isn't placing his dispenser anywhere helpful for you, there aren't any medics on your team, and the scout keeps stealing all the health kits. So, 99% of games. This is because while the banana does heal less than the sandwich, it recharges faster, meaning it will be at the ready when you need it most more often than not, unlike the sandwich, which works best when you can give it to a medic to heal them up, and then they get you to full health, and then you pick up a health kit so that you recharge the sandwich instantly, and then you can heal someone else for even more health. However, stuff like this only happens in coordinated teams. A sight that's rarity is only exceeded by Australian weapons. As a result, if you rely on the sandwich to heal yourself exclusively, you will find its power draining up faster than the aquifers out west, something their local governments seem to be oblivious to given that they're trying to farm water-intensive crops out there like cotton. But then again, I live on the opposite side of the continent from them, so it's hardly my problem. Speaking of people you want to punch in the face, let's talk about the melee weapons you should be using with this thing. I recommend either the Fists of Steel or the Gloves of Running Urgently. This is simply because they are good melees that fit with any heavy loadout you might be planning. The Gloves of Running Urgently are better if you want to get to the front lines faster, whilst the Fists of Steel are better if you want to stay on the front lines longer. Strangely enough, the brass piece was actually released as an item set alongside the buffalo steak sandwich and the warrior spirit, which is quite bizarre considering these weapons have negative synergy with each other. I mean, seriously, think about it. The primary weapon takes longer to rev up, the secondary forces you into melee only with guaranteed crits and a speed buff at the cost of a damage vulnerability for its duration, and a melee that gives you even further damage vulnerability at the benefit of increasing your raw damage. In fact, the only thing these three weapons have in common is that they boost the raw damage you have, at the cost of making you even easier to kill. Maybe that's what the devs were thinking when they made this set. Honestly, this set is so stupid and useless that if YouTube didn't require videos to be 8 minutes long to get mid-roll ads, I wouldn't even be bothering mentioning it right now whatsoever. All in all, I give the Brass Beast a noob trap out of 10. This is the quintessential, well, I found it from an unlock, so it must be better than stock trap that a lot of new players find themselves falling for. And I personally can hardly blame them. When you're new to the game, noticing the downsides of slower movement speed and rev time is not exactly easy to understand. But 20% more damage is very easy to understand. As a result, new players will effectively look at this gun and think, oh, there's an obvious plus side and a few downsides about, moving slower, it looks like. Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's nothing. I'll just sit on a card, it won't be an issue, and now I'm dead. That's all for now. Like the video if you did, subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one, comment what weapons you want to see me cover in the future. I've been Ian, and this has been my TF2 How to Killstreak guide to the Brass Beast. And stay tuned, the Demo Man's shields are coming up next.